Welcome to this week's Week in Wisdom by Creating a Family. Week in Wisdom is our podcast that allows us to answer your questions. So please do us a favor and send us your questions. You can send them to info@creatingafamily.org, and they will find their way to me, and I will answer them on one of the upcoming Week in Wisdoms. Jumping right in, today's question is, what is the best country to adopt from in 2024? Best is not a word that I would use when talking about countries to adopt from in international adoption, because what country is best for one person in international adoption is not necessarily best for another person. And the best resource that I can send you to is the Creating a Family Country Adoption Comparison Charts. And they're going to be the best resource that you can find that will ultimately answer this question. And you can find those charts. There's a number of charts. You can find them at our website, creatingafamily.org. Hover over the word adoption in the horizontal menu, and then click on adoption comparison charts. Or I'll spell out the URL, and that's creatingafamily.org/adoption/comparison-country-charts. Again, probably easier just to go to the website, hover over adoption, and click on adoption comparison charts. In those charts, we include a lot of information about the top 10 placing countries as far as number of adoptions that are happening here in the U.S. Something to note is that each country has their own requirements that adoptive parents need to meet. And you need to choose a country where you meet the requirements. And some of the examples might be, if you're taking an antidepressant, some countries might not allow you to be doing that and adopt. Some countries have a BMI, body mass index limit, and if you don't meet that, other countries might have a number of years marriage, or whether they accept singles or LGBTQ+. You've got to figure a country that meets who you are. And each country also has a bit of difference on the type of children that are available for international adoption, such as age and special needs and things like that. Also, you may have an affinity to a particular country or even a connection to a particular country. Maybe your heritage comes from a specific country. And also something to consider is the amount of travel that's required, because each country differs on that, as well as the amount of time in country, how much time you have to spend in country. All of that differs and might well impact if you have to spend 6 weeks in a country and you get 2 weeks of vacation every year, you might want to rule that country out. Some people choose to select an international adoption agency first and then choose between the countries that they have programs in. And that's also a fine way to go about it. If you choose a country first and then you select an adoption agency that facilitates adoptions from that country. One thing to keep in mind, although our adoption comparison charts are excellent, the agency you're working with who has a program in that country will be the expert on adopting from that country. And along those lines, we have at creatingafamily.org lots of resources on questions to ask and how to choose an international adoption agency. And I truly refer you to that information because it's excellent. All right, so before you go, let me ask that if you are not a subscriber to the creatingafamily.org podcast, please do so. The Week in Wisdom will automatically show up in your feed if you subscribe. So do us a favor, and whatever app you're listening to this podcast on, click the subscribe button beside Creating a Family, and we thank you. And we thank you for listening to this week's Week in Wisdom. Please tell a friend about it so we can grow, and I will see you next week.